morning, good morning. There you are. I hope you're safe and well, because that is the most important thing. Well, we've got the tail end of Hurricane Ernesto with us at the moment, and it is pretty wild and wet and windy. So I hope you're okay wherever you are. So news today, the first thing is we contacted the HSE help desk about what happens with the new hazards that are coming out of the EU, you know, the endocrine disruptors for health and environment, the PBT VPVB and the PMT VPVM. And we asked the question, can those go on a dual EU/NI and GB label? Because it costs a lot of money to have two labels for the products, and you can't move one between jurisdictions if it's got individual labels. So there's a lot of people still doing a dual label with double entities, two addresses, one in the EU/NI and one in GB, and it saves a lot of time and money. Unfortunately, the result has come back in a letter, which we've already circulated around the self-help group and around our trainees, of course, saying, well, there's a couple of reasons why not. You know, there's not an official policy on it within HSE at the moment, but there are a couple of reasons, and one of them is that technically these EUH statements that have been brought in at the EU are in their Annex 1, which means they go with the hazard statements in the main part of the label. And in GB, they could be counted as supplemental information, so they'd have to be away on the supplemental part of the label. So that's the first issue. And the second issue is that under GB CLP, you've got to be careful about not putting any contradictory information on the label, and the new EUH statements could be regarded as that. Now, if you'd like to see the full correspondence, then we have it linked in Chemicals Coffee Time today. You're very welcome to sign up if you're not already on the list. I will pop the list below this now. And yeah, so it looks like if you have a product which has got EUH statements from the new ones in the EU, then you're probably going to have dual EU and NI or GB labels for it. Interesting one. So, and of course, that's on top of, I should add, on top of the things where you've got a different classification as well, because there are changes to the harmonized classifications, either not so many substance classifications, but some of the mixture classifications have altered. And of course, we have a whole lot of new EU harmonized classifications that don't currently exist as mandatory classifications. I think Ali says that there's about 9% difference between the harmonized classification list and the mandatory classification list at the moment. Although I think most of that are new harmonized classifications from the EU, which can be adopted voluntarily in GB as long as they don't contradict an existing mandatory classification. Whew. Right, okay, leaving all that on one side, which I hope you found interesting and useful, of course. We've got serious problems with the new ECHA Chem website. It's been down for a week now. It went down on the 16th last Friday. It hasn't been brought up yet. This is where all of the REACH dossiers are supposed to be sitting, the up-to-date ones. The ones still on the ECHA website are potentially out of date. And the best way to learn when it comes back online is actually to follow ECHA on Twitter. Well, Twitter as was now X. So because they've actually got a post pinned at the top of their X feed, and they will let us know as soon as possible once it's up and running. Let me just try and, it's ridiculous having to say follow ECHA on X, formerly Twitter, but that's the link there. If you don't already follow them, keep an eye on that, because a lot of us rely on being able to go into the dossiers and check information there. So I hope you find that interesting as well. So good news if you're in the UK. Neil Hollis of BSF has pointed out that the CIA, no, not the American one, the Chemicals Industry Association, have got a really interesting conference, one-day conference called Chemical Reactions, which is in Manchester, I believe. Let me just pick the link up. It's along with Step 2. It's Tuesday, September the 24th in Manchester. And at the moment, it is only 50 quid per person to attend. So it's a real value for money event. Neil himself is one of the speakers, and no doubt will be very interesting as always. So that's a really interesting thing if you're interested in chemical regulations and you can get to Manchester. The other thing that's happening is on the 11th of September, we are restarting our Chemicals Coffee Time training phase for this year. And if you're interested in not Chemicals Coffee Time, CLP Mastery. Oh my goodness, what am I like? CLP Mastery training phase. Chemicals Coffee Time is the newsletter. So if you're interested in getting some training, some high level training in CLP, REACH, how you manage your chemical inventory, it's really all to do with product safety generally. And we cover all the other related chemical regulations we can think of. So it's not just how to classify, how to produce a label, how to produce a safety data sheet. It's much, much more than that. Is your product legal? What are the things that you might need from other chemical regulations on the label? All sorts of things. Anyway, restarting on the 11th of September with a kickoff meeting. We have a 13-week training phase, and then we go to monthly meetings as part of the membership, because really CLP Mastery is part training, part membership. And we're already looking forward to welcoming back some of our former trainees in the membership. They get access to everything going forward. And we just spend a lot of time discussing current problems and how to solve them. So if you're interested, I'll just put the link in below. So those are the events. That was the news. What about reasons to be cheerful? Well, our sporting details continue. This time it is swimming fails. I don't think anybody was harmed in the making of this video, but anyway, that's it below this video. So thanks very much if you're watching live. Also, thank you if you're watching on catch up. I hope this has been useful, and I look forward to chatting to you again next week if we're spared. Take care of yourselves. Bye.